Hello, everybody, and welcome to another community
First of all, Mayor, thank you very much for
conversation
giving me the
on
opportunity.
Facebook Live.
Just one portion of the
We serve the many purpose people
has that passion.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Community Conversations right here on Facebook Live. I'm Mayor Eric Pappenfuss. It's good to have you with us. It's Friday at noon, and as always, we're here talking about the issues that matter to Harrisburg. Today's topic is going to be innovative projects that are happening right now in the Harrisburg School District. And among other guests, we're pleased to be joined by Acting Superintendent of the Harrisburg School District, Christopher Selmer, and Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Susan Sneath. And I can also safely say that this is probably the most guests we've had on any of our 50-plus editions of Facebook Live Community Conversations thus far. You're going to hear about some amazing collaboration, innovation, and projects that are happening in the Harrisburg School District, and I can't wait to get right to it. But I want to start, as always, with just a few announcements. And the first one has to do with the continuing good news related to the vaccine rollout in Harrisburg. We had a great show last week that hopefully you had a chance to see, regarding the clinic up at HAC, which is processing over 1,000 vaccine doses a day. I wanted to give out the information that we shared with you last week from UPMC because I can personally attest to the fact that a number of people I know have called over the past week and have been able to get their vaccine doses right away. UPMC said last week there is plenty of availability, and we are strongly encouraging all adults in Harrisburg to get vaccinated. You can sign up for an appointment at HAC if you want to call the toll-free number 844-UPMC-VAC, which also works out to 844-876-2822. And if you'd rather go online to book an appointment, you can do that at vaccine.upmc.com. I can report I got my second Pfizer dose just this week, and no side effects. I'm feeling good and very happy now to have become fully vaccinated. We want to build up that herd immunity in the community, and we are encouraging everyone to get vaccinated. It's free, it's safe. It really couldn't be easier than the drive-through setup we have currently at HAC. So that's the update on the vaccine. And it should lead into a general discussion of the BioBot data that we got this past week. And if you bring that up on the screen, you'll see that we're showing a slight decline in terms of cases between this 2-week sample and the last 2-week sample. We're still slightly above where we were in May, and we continue to see a little bump up from there, but we're well below, as the graph shows you, where we were in December and January, and that's encouraging. If you look at the other charts, we're still high in terms of our relationship to other samples, and we are at a reference point of about 110 new cases a day, and that certainly means the virus hasn't disappeared. We know it's still there. And another side point to note, we've been testing for a number of the COVID variants. And this past week, they detected all 3 of the variants that they were checking for in the Harrisburg wastewater samples. So we know the variants are there. We know some of these variants can affect children stronger. They can affect people in slightly different ways, and the best defense against them, again, is to get vaccinated. So that's the data from Harrisburg. If you're interested more in BioBot, and this is something that we've shared, I think, on almost all of our shows since we began over a year ago, there was an interesting article that the city tweeted out on its website about BioBot analytics this past week. So check out the city Facebook and Twitter feed, and you can see an interview I did there that talks a little bit about the relationship between the testing and what it's meant for Harrisburg and how it's been helpful and what BioBot exactly does with the wastewater epidemiology. Also wanted to make a general announcement. There, Moment's got the article up there. It's a good one. There was no question that we were going to renew the eviction moratorium for at least one more 30-day extension. This is particularly important because a number of the rental relief programs that the county is administering aren't yet in effect. They're sort of going into effect the second half of April. The vaccine distribution is only now at a stage where it's able to roll out to the wider public. And basically, we're carefully monitoring the situation. We know it's an extraordinary thing to do, to extend the moratorium, but we don't want to exacerbate any of the health crisis at this juncture. We don't want people to lose their homes. So the eviction moratorium is in effect for another 30 days until mid-May. That means no one can lose their home due to a financial hardship or an inability to pay their rent. And as we shared last week, the moratorium is working well with the court system. It has stopped evictions in the city of Harrisburg. And if you know anyone who is being locked out or forced out of their home, they should contact the city, and we will take care of it. Also, want to let people know I've been doing a lot of door-to-door lately, speaking to neighbors, and a couple of the issues that are on folks' minds have to do with potholes, as well as the potential return of fireworks. And I heard some fireworks myself the other night, and I thought, oh boy, we're getting ready for summer. And both of these topics, we are encouraging folks to go to our website and interact with a new GIS mapping tool, one that we sort of pioneered last year with regard to the fireworks issue, but we're going to be redoing again this year. And now with the ability to get hot asphalt, we can begin to really patch some of these potholes that have been had to use cold patch up to this point. Hot asphalt is coming, and so we want people to go to the website. Next week, Momin, we're going to have Evan on, and we're going to demo how people use the site. But if people want to call into 311 over the course of this week, they can, and we'll have a little bit more about the pothole reporting and the firework reporting and how you can get involved and make a difference on those on next week's show. Then I wanted to give a big shout out to Harrisburg City Council, as well as our economic development team for what occurred this past week, which was the city passed a series of 4 bills related to incentivizing affordable housing in the city of Harrisburg. This is landmark legislation. It sets us apart from other third-class cities in a very positive way, just like our eviction moratorium does as well. It shows a very strong commitment to wanting to see affordable housing and better housing options for everyone in all neighborhoods of the city. And this was a pretty extraordinary accomplishment. Among other aspects of the bill, and we've discussed this on Facebook Live before, but you have certain density bonuses if you build affordable housing. There's the ability to have an expedited permitting process for street vacations and other things, an expedited review for tax relief through the LRTA program, all sorts of benefits. And there now is a definition of affordable housing as well as a certification process for developers to undertake with the city. And City Council passed all 4 of those bills almost unanimously at the last session. So that was a big deal. Coming up, our next session isn't until April 27th. They're taking a week off to sort of regroup. And on April 27th, there's going to be a lot of big news. I don't want to get too far ahead of us, but there's a lot of serious financial news for the city coming down the pipe. One of those involves the hiring of underwriters, which also involves the sort of long-term debt picture and restructuring and financial recovery of the city. There's going to be a lot to discuss related to the city's exit from Act 47, and all that is coming up on April 27th. So that's a meeting, both a combined work session and legislative session on April 27th that maybe you don't want to miss. So please sign up and join us virtually. Those sessions continue to be virtually for Harrisburg City Council. The next one, April 27th. All right. With those announcements behind us, we're going to get to the star of the show, which is the Harrisburg School District. And let me start, Superintendent Selmer, just with a general question for you. I know that students have started returning to in-person learning in the Harrisburg School District. I believe teachers have been vaccinated as part of a statewide effort to get our teachers vaccinated. Can you just give us a couple updates on both of those two topics, and then we're going to get to some of these innovative programs that are happening.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mayor, again, for having me on the show and having our team here in the Harrisburg School District on the show this afternoon. So we were very excited on April 6th for the return of our K1 and 2 elementary students. They're currently returned to in-person learning on an A-B schedule. So we have students in the morning, we do a deep cleaning in between, and then we have students in the afternoon. It's gone very, very well through 2 weeks. And again, just can't be happier with our team in the Harrisburg School District. So much effort and time and planning went into this successful return of small cohorts of our students for learning, as well as cohorts of our special education students who are back with us. So we couldn't be more pleased with this initial step, and we expect it'll be a springboard for additional steps that will be forthcoming in the upcoming months as we head into the 21-22 school year.
And the vaccination rollout for teachers and staff, that's going well?
Very well. So again, we were very appreciative of Governor Wolf and the initiative to provide those vaccines for our most essential staff working in our buildings. We also worked with the capital area IU prior to the governor's announcement to create access for our employees and staff that were desiring to have the vaccine. So that went very well, and certainly has helped us as we've embarked on return for in-person learning in the Harrisburg School District.
Great. Well, thank you for those updates. And while it's certainly been a challenging year for everyone involved in the field of education, a lot of positive things have been happening. And I thought it was important to sort of take a moment and highlight some of those on today's community conversation. We've got a lot of guests. So, Mr. Superintendent, why don't you introduce our first group?
Thank you, Mayor, for giving us this time to highlight the wonderful things that are happening in the Harrisburg School District. And you are correct. While it's been an extremely challenging year, we have become, in my opinion, extremely innovative, and you'll see some of that demonstrated today around STEM, around virtual learning. Our NJROTC program is going to be one of the best programs in this state in the coming years. So we're very excited. So again, I'd like to introduce Dr. Marisol Craig and Dr. Bonnie Seipolt, who will discuss the evolution of our Harrisburg Virtual Learning Academy.
Welcome to you both.
And I'm Dr. Craig, as Mr. Selmer said, Director of Virtual Learning, and joining me is Dr. Seipolt, our Assistant Principal of Cougar Academy and the hvla program. And we are so excited and thankful for this opportunity to highlight our district's cyber option. We started discussing the cyber option at the end of last school year and officially launched hvla for the start of the 2021 school year. Throughout this school year, we've continued to revise and update our program designs for K-5, 6-12, and 6-12 to better support our students and their families, but also to ensure that all of our students were having a positive online experience. So I just wanted to highlight, or I just wanted to walk through some of our program highlights that include, you go to the next slide, that include the flexibility of the program for students to work at their own pace and to also be able to work from anywhere. So we know that a lot of our parents are working, and so students are in daycare or with grandparents and aunts. And so this provides an opportunity for students to work from wherever they are. Also, we are providing K-5 daily live lessons, and we record those lessons for our families as well if they are unable to join those live synchronous lessons with teachers. For our 612, we have recorded lessons as well, and we have a huge list of electives available for those students to choose from. We have tutoring for our 612 students in the evening to connect with teachers to be able to support them online. We have virtual monitors available for additional support. Something else important that we wanted to share is that all our students in the hvla program are connected to their home schools. So all our students in the program have the opportunity to participate in school activities and programs, as well as district activities and programs that they're eligible for, such as literacy nights, STEM events, athletics, art, music, competitions, ROTC, prom, graduation, etc. With our cyber option, our students do not report, so everything, all the learning is remote. They do not report on campus. They're working independently, again, going back to that personalized learning for our students. And we do provide free technology and free tech support for all our students and their families. So our plan for 2021, as I stated earlier, we are continuously working on improving our program and ensuring that we are meeting the needs of our students and our families. So we're going to continue with working and making sure that our students have that flexibility, that the program is customized for our students. It is a remote program, students continuing to work independently. Ensuring that all our students have a technology to support their learning remotely. We are contracting with Ingenuity that provides a PA standard aligned curriculum that is approved by the state. Expanding our 612 program for the fall to provide direct synchronous lessons for all our students. Synchronous lessons for 612. Again, that are recorded for our students if they cannot log in to directly work with teachers. And we are also expanding to a drop-in center face-to-face that students could come in to the building and be on campus for additional support as needed. And also continuing to make sure that our students understand and our families understand that if they are in our program, they are able to participate in their homeschool activities and other district activities that are offered throughout the school year. So a lot of questions that we receive around parents and the community is, what does a classroom, what would a direct lesson look like, a synchronous lesson, a live lesson look like? So we wanted to provide an example today of what that might look like. I believe the classroom that you are looking at will be one of our 4th grade teachers, Ms. Price. She's amazing. And if we can play the video so everyone can view it.
Okay, so when you have your paper and your pencil, you can go ahead and write your own paragraph about bears. So remember, we're just going to be writing a body paragraph. So you're going to start with your topic sentence about bears. So make sure you introduce your topic in that first sentence. Then you're going to write 3 or 4 other full, complete sentences that support that topic sentence, okay? So you are going to have 4 or 5 sentences total. Does that sound good? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to write this, and then we're going to share.
Can you say what you said? I couldn't hear you.
Yep. So you are going to be writing your own paragraph about bears. It's going to be a body paragraph. So what you're going to do is your first sentence is going to introduce your topic. So what about bears are you writing about? Or what kind of bears are you writing about? Then you're going to need 3 or 4 supporting sentences that support your topic. Okay. So in total, you're going to have 4 to 5 sentences. Duran.
Will we get a lot of minutes to write?
Yep, I'm going to give you time.
Okay.
Take your time. Go ahead, buddy.
The polar bears was big and white. He lived in the Arctic and liked to play in the snow. That's all I got to.
Okay, that's pretty good, buddy.
So that's just an example of what our classroom, when students are logging in for direct teaching, for ELA and for mathematics, is an example of what that class might look like. As you see, it's very interactive. They're teaching everything that needs to be taught in the curriculum. If we watched more, the kids would be expressing their sentences and being able to share in a group. That is also what we are planning and designing for our 6 to 12 students for the fall. So we're really excited. We're in the process of interviewing, hiring, and teaching, or hiring the staff that would support that transition for our 6 to 12 students.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
around-
Well, that was very impressive, and the classroom looked great. And obviously, it's been a tremendous amount of work, I'm sure, and great strides have been made for the let's call it the hvla over the past year. And I think it's an exciting option for parents. Maybe let me just ask one question, and then we'll get on to some of the other topics. But what do you see the future of the Virtual Learning Academy being sort of post-pandemic? I know you've talked a little bit about getting ready for the 2021 school year, but as we move past this, which I'm confident we will, and the option occurs for students to return to a less virtual settings. I assume you think that the Virtual Learning Academy is probably here to stay in some form or another for the future. Maybe Dr. Craig, you'd like to answer that, or maybe we could have Bonnie answer that.
Well, Bonnie, Dr. Seifel, you can add your comments and thoughts, but I think one of the things that we've learned through this pandemic is that some of our students are thriving in that type of learning environment. So I think not just in our district, but in other districts, I don't think cyber is going to go away. I think that really works, and it's a viable option for a lot of our families. And so we are just really working hard on strengthening our program designs to better support that, and some other innovative things that we are thinking to expand our virtual academy.
I would also add to, we're able to really cater and personalize the curriculum to the students' needs. And we found that really meets a wide variety of students across the board in all grade levels, that we can personalize the curriculum. And it's a very flexible program. Students are able to work at their own pace. We have students that are working ahead of pace, students that can get support if they're not quite where they need to be, but it really is a personalized experience for students across the board. So I think moving forward, we just see our program really expanding and meeting the needs of our students.
Well, thank you for that. Thanks for the introduction. And I agree. It's a great way to have a sort of personalized a touch that's going to work extremely well for a large number of students, and it's a great option. So thanks for demonstrating that for us and showing us a little sneak peek into a classroom, and that was very, very helpful. Let's go now to Dr. Susan Sneath, the Chief Academic Officer for the Harrisburg School District. And now that we've set the stage for the evolution of the Harrisburg Virtual Learning Academy, Dr. Sneath, let's talk about some of the exciting and innovative challenges and programs and ideas that are happening right now in Harrisburg. Maybe you could introduce our next group.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Several months ago, prior to the talks about bringing children back into in-person school, we were approached by a couple of teachers who asked for special permission to bring students to participate in a specific STEM challenge. So now I'd like to introduce Ms. Capizzoli and Mr. Tatey from the Cougar Academy, who participated in the Connects Challenge.
Wonderful. Welcome. Let's hear all about the Connects Challenge.
I'm here with Miss Capizzoli. And so the Connects competition that we had, we were fortunate enough to bring in quite a few students, and we had three teams of 4 students apiece, ranging from grades 5 through 8 that competed in this STEM competition. And the goal of the competition was to either reinvent or invent a new household item or technology that made the world a cleaner place. For example, some of our groups use we had to build a prototype, either using Connects pieces that was supplied by the competition or any recyclable material that we were able to find in our houses or the students' houses or around the school. Of the 3 teams that we had compete against regional schools, there were 6 schools competing, our 3 teams finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place in the competition. We were very proud of our teams. Our winning team, 1st place, is moving on to the state competition that will be beginning next week, I believe.
All right. So Mr. Tatey and I, when we were approached, and then we brainstormed, we thought through some of the logistics of bringing students to school. We knew that it was going to be challenging, but we secured parent permission, and students came. They were very excited to participate. So we kept our students well within a comfortable distance, and they were able to work together. You can see that they were working with the Connects. There was a lot of process that went into the overall process or design model. That first we had to, really think about the question. My teams actually expanded their reach into the school. They felt like they had some needs that they noticed last year when they were in class and outside of the playground. So they took it upon themselves to make some solutions for Cougar Academy. So the winning team designed a mobile charging station. So you can see on the one slide with all of their brainstorming ideas, they went with the mobile charging station robot. Wanted a charging station that could be remote controlled and could be brought to any room down the hallway with remote control, and they could charge their computers or even their mobile devices. So we talked about the different aspects of their design. They had to sketch it. They went through the entire process. They built the first prototype and it kind of fell apart. It was a little flimsy, so they went through that whole design piece and they found that it was not as successful as they would have liked. You can see some of the students working on research. The really neat thing about this group, they went and did some research on actual mobile charging stations, like the ones that we see in airports today, but they wanted theirs to be a little different. They chose theirs to have a solar panel. They also had a remote control. that they brought in. And I don't know if you can see on the side, they actually installed, and I think this is what got them 1 point above the other team, because the second place team took one, that was only 1 point difference. They had a foot pump hand sanitizing station on the actual mobile device. So you think about all the people, you know, today during this coronavirus crisis, you know, all the people that are going to be touching this resource. So they wanted it to be hand-free. So they used a foot pump. They just put their hands there, and their prototype brought, you know, some of the hand sanitizer into play. And I think that that design actually really impressed the judges, because they were thinking of relevant current day issues that they could actually confront. So I just I added some slides there. These are the student slides. This is what they presented during the day. We helped with some labeling, but they put this together. And like we said, I mean, we took first, second, and third places. We met on Wednesdays, a couple of hours, so we didn't meet every day. And I feel like some of the schools actually had an advantage. They were face-to-face. We were completely cyber, and we were able to bring in students once a week for about a month, and we were able to compete and win. So we were really, really excited. I mean, I jumped out of my chair. I was when I heard that we won and took all those places. So we were super excited to get STEM into our students' hands, because we know how important that is to our students in Harrisburg School District. So science, technology, engineering, math, this created that whole approach. And even the arts were actually involved in helping to design the actual prototype. So we couldn't have been more excited. I hope that we can do this again next year and even bring more students into the project and have them compete, even locally at our building, maybe district-wide.
Wow. No, thank you for sharing. That's great. Looks like we saw the second place team there. A clean sweep in the Connects Challenge for the Harrisburg School District. Well done. Boy, I need a mobile charging station. I've got to say, let us take advantage of that prototype for City Hall. It seems like every day I'm running out of power, and if I could push a button and have the mobile station come to me, sanitize my hands, and plug in my portable devices, that would make my life much easier. That's a great idea. I like the idea of a solar swing set. Terrific to know. Also, for what it's worth, the city is looking to expand into solar, and one of the areas that we're doing that is we have a solar powered station. It's not mobile, it's fixed, but for our new electric vehicles that we're hiring for our fleet. In Harrisburg, we're switching over a number of local vehicles to electric vehicles. And if your students would like to come out at some point and see how that works, we'd love to have them. So consider that an invitation to see an actual solar charging station in Harrisburg at work. And we can coordinate that. So thank you, teachers, for sharing us the Connects Challenge. That's great. I think we'll go next to Mr. Ryan Jones, who is the principal of the Marshall Math Science Academy, and he can introduce our next team.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you for having the Marshall Math Science Academy. So we have two projects that we'd like to feature today, and I think these two projects perfectly encapsulate what the mission of education should be right now, which is to develop critical and independent thinkers. And our first project that we're going to showcase is our Feeding Harrisburg. It's a service through STEM project that was done in our 6th grade science class with Miss Groom and Miss Grab.
Welcome. Take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So like Mr. Jones said, we worked on a project together with collaboration with Ignite My Future and Tata Consultancy Services. And it was a global collaboration with our students. It was a great opportunity. There were 16 educators across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, over 500 students. We had 688 hours logged in using Flipgrid. We had over 1,500 responses that students logged through the use of Flipgrid, and over 3,100 comments that these students were able to have back and forth amongst peers all over the 3 countries. And the purpose was to solve these real world problems of food deserts using computational thinking. Connect these students with the other kids throughout the 3 countries on a weekly basis, and do this in a transdisciplinary way. We use it in science class, but we also connected it in ELA too. And with it being a global pandemic, we wanted to also make sure that they had these connections that were outside of their houses, outside the world, so they weren't feeling so isolated. So they established some relationships with other kids their own ages. You can go to the next slide. So computational thinking, I was new to this. I was like, what is it? Sounds kind of complicated, but when it all boils down to it, we do it every day. We do it across all content areas. But what we like to call in 6th grade, Mrs. Groom and I, is brain sweat, because it is some thinking and your brain has to sweat. It's normally something that you might think of as a computer science thing, but it's so much more. We do abstraction with pulling out main idea, breaking down the details. We do decomposing problems in mathematics. And that's how we initially connected this to our own students when we were teaching them these ideas. And then we brought in our real world problem of food deserts. They looked at data. They looked at articles. They looked at infographics. They looked at maps and charts, and then they drew these conclusions. They were able to discover patterns where food deserts occurred. They broke down the problems. They thought about them and thought about different ways to solve it. They came up with different ways to solve it. They drew models, and then they developed these algorithms on how to solve it, which is just like the steps they had to go through. And we connected with mentors through Tata Consultancy, and we've been working with them for the last 5 weeks. And this is where the kids, I think, really started thinking, oh, this is hard work. We have to think about reworking things, rewriting things, redesigning things, because it's just not, writing down a few steps to bring my solution to life. I have to go back and rework a few things. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Groom.
Thank you. You can go to the next slide then also. This was a really interesting project, and working with the mentors through Tata Consultancy helped our children really take their ideas and grow them. And just through discussion and their research, they were surprised to find out that the USDA had determined that parts of Harrisburg are actually in a food desert. And this really concerned them, and their love for their community really started to show through. Initially, we had 5 distinct solutions, 5 different areas that the students were working around. But the students just organically kind of said, hey, we could get something done for real in real life if we work together. And they came to us with the idea of working together to actually do something in their community. And so we still have 4 groups. They divided their project up. We have a group that's working on budgeting and funding for their project, a group that's working on community education, a group that's working on a physical garden, and a group that's working on distributing their harvest. So they want to create a garden and distribute their harvest in the neighborhoods where folks are affected by poverty and the lack of a grocery store nearby.
Well, that's great. That's terrific. And I'll just say we have a greenhouse working group in Harrisburg, which is trying to do a similar thing up in Reservoir Park. And okay, we've got a video. Just one second.
Hey guys, I made a model for food deserts and I wanted to show you guys my idea. So as you can see in here, there is a Walmart, and my solution for food deserts was to put a Walmart in areas where there are food deserts. And as you can see, the houses are in distance to the stores so they can get fresh foods, and also there's a pharmacy inside of the Walmart to get pills or vitamins, and also those could help with the 3 diseases that you could catch when you live in food deserts: obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure, also known as cardiovascular.
Yes, well, I was just, that's great. I was just weighing in to say that we'll have to connect your students with the Greenhouse Working Group and make this vision a reality, because we do have a food desert here in the city, and we need fresh produce. We need to especially educate and encourage the younger generation to be part of the solutions, which is exactly what you're doing. So it's great to see. And let me also say there's a little good news on the horizon for Harrisburg. We finally have had some interest in major grocery chains expanding into the city. We've been contacted by a number of those. There's a plan for one that just got approved through zoning here very recently. So a combination of that and an effort to grow produce locally and expand in some other directions, I think bodes well for the future in tackling this issue. But thanks for describing that project, and good luck to the group. And it's absolutely important. Mr. Jones, do you want to introduce the next group who's going to talk to us?
Comment on something you said about involving our students in the solutions of our problems. I think you're exactly right in hitting the nail on the head. The truth of education right now is that we're preparing students for jobs that haven't been invented yet. And the best way to do that, to create critical thinkers, is to present our current problems and invite our students to help us solve them. And that's what the last project really focused on. The other aspect of that is creating independent thinkers that can discern between fact and fiction, reliable and unreliable information, right and wrong. And this project is the ethical dilemma project. And we used the story Flowers for Algernon as a vehicle to teach neuroethics. So I would like to introduce Ms. Maury and Ms. Henry our 8th grade English teachers for Marshall Math Science Academy.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Welcome. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. As Mr. Jones said, we really want to promote critical thinking and 21st century skills while also helping students apply knowledge to real world situations and allowing them to explore information that they want to know. So the Ethical Dilemma Project inspires, we are hoping to inspire ELA teachers to incorporate project-based learning into their classrooms and curriculum.
So for those of you guys who don't know, Flowers for Algernon is it's a story, it's a case study done about Charlie Gordon, who is a 32-year-old man who is basically mentally disabled. He just has an IQ that's very low. And they've created this procedure that if he has surgery, they will increase his intelligence by 3-fold. And they have done this on a mouse named Algernon. And throughout the surgery, we see his progress as his intelligence gets higher. Fortunately, the surgery fails and it can be argued that he's actually in a worse situation than beforehand. So throughout the entire reading of it, the kids get very emotionally attached to these characters. And they start to have an ethical and moral kind of themes going along with it, with how he's treated. And that's kind of where we got these ideas from in order to create this project. Ms. Maury?
So you can flip to the next slide as well. During our reading of Flowers for Algernon, ethics was a hot topic of discussion. And our students read weekly neuroethics articles ranging from mind reading machines, drugs for intelligence, and drugs to erase memories. And then they answered opinionated questions about whether this type of technology should be in existence. Their main focus of these articles was just to understand themselves and where they drew the line on the developing technology that's coming out in the 21st century. And then this prepared them for the Ethical Dilemma Project. And you can go ahead and flip to the next slide, please. So they had 8 different technologies that are being developed or have already been developed, ranging from self-driving cars, CRISPRs, which is gene editing, the Manhattan Project, cloning animals, the Citizens app, neuroethics, test tube babies, and, oh, I'm sorry, not neuroethics, Neuralink, and 3D printing. And what they did was they were able to choose which topic they wanted. After they chose a topic, it was their job to act as reporters and conduct research, decide whether the technology was ethical or unethical, and then they themselves authored a magazine article to present their findings and their stance of the technology. So attached, we just have some of their articles because they turned out amazing.
So from that, we had the students then present their information, and we didn't want them just to read off their articles to each other. So we actually had them create presentations, kind of like the one we're doing right now. And so they had to take that information that they had that were in these giant paragraphs and condense them down a little bit into easily read slides. They were able to add videos, they add different pictures and examples. If you want to go to the next slide. They added pictures, like we had one girl who did the Manhattan Project, and she actually found pictures of the people that were involved. They found examples of the products that were created. They had to include their own ethical point. And we just finished presenting these this week, and we had them do a question and answer afterwards. And the amount of research that these kids did was absolutely incredible, because they became little mini experts on them. And as they presented them, we had different students kind of respond to it. And then we had them do a response at the end where they actually kind of gave their stance, how they felt after the fact. So we had them at the very beginning talk about how they felt about these different topics, and it's the same thing at the end. And we had some students who changed their mind. I had one student from the article to the presentation changed her stance ethically on the debate because of the more research and writing that she had done. And so this was a big, I don't know what I'm looking for here, a big thing that they were able to go through and use those critical thinking skills to figure out their own opinions, since, those are important.
It was really awesome to just see their ideas expand and develop.
I love it. That sounds like a really innovative way to tie in all aspects of the curriculum and center everything on the issue of ethics, which I can't think of anything more important. What was the topic that the one student changed his or her mind on?
Project, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
There was a lot of kids who were halfway through it went, wait, that's not, I don't like this anymore. Or they learned like in some of the cloning and scientific ones that there were more issues and things that hadn't been developed and more problems than they realized. And so that was a big eye opener for some of them to realize that there were side effects that they hadn't heard about before.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I honestly, I think the program's wonderful. It sounds very interdisciplinary. You're mixing science and history with English and everything. So, and I think again, centering your eighth graders on questions of ethics is a great way to get them to really learn and grow as critical thinkers and learners and future leaders. So, congratulations on that, and great project. We're going to go next to the Harrisburg High School John Harris campus and talk about two really innovative and exciting programs that are happening there. And we're joined by Ms. Lena Cordero and Ms. Michelle Felton, who are the associate principals. And maybe one of you could take the first project and one of you could take the second project and just sort of set us up and introduce what we're going to hear.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you again for the opportunity to showcase the wonderful work of our students and our teachers. Our first project is Naval Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. So I'm going to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Blanchard and Chief Thrush, and they're going to share with us how they're providing our students with opportunities to be leaders in our building and opportunities to be leaders within our community.
Wonderful.
Welcome. Hey, thanks, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the crowd. Like you mentioned, I'm here with Chief Thrush, who I couldn't do this job without him. It's not necessarily a specific project that we had, but we looked at and have sort of been adjusting the way we've been doing business because we are such a hands-on program. How do we morph that in a virtual world? Just a little bit about our program. We promote leadership, citizenship, teamwork. We are not recruiters. If the students want to go into the military, we're all about it. We'll help them out there. But our major goal is to get them to walk across the stage with a diploma and have a plan for what they want to do in the future. Along the way, we'll develop some discipline, physical fitness, and hopefully teach them a little bit about personal and professional appearance. But our major goal is to get them to graduate with a plan. You can go to the slide. So what do we look at? And the chief gets most of the credit for this, for the work he did over the summer, knowing we were going into a virtual world. But how do we give opportunities for leadership to our students in that virtual world? And then how do we define that responsibility, and how do we hold them accountable when we do it? You can go to the next slide. So we had to do a little bit of improvisation, adapt, and overcome. Our goal was to mirror our normal program as much as possible in the virtual world. So cadets had leadership responsibilities. They were held accountable to them. We had weekly staff meetings where, we're really a cadet-run program. And so we really put it on them to make the decisions. Of course, the chief and I are here to mentor them and help them out along the way. But the ownership that they gain by having those leadership roles is really impactful on them. We've held virtual promotion ceremonies. We've held virtual awards ceremonies, trying to keep the cadets engaged in the program as much as possible. We also had a very successful recruiting blitz this year. We started the program at the beginning of the year with around 87 cadets. I'm hoping, based on the numbers that we got from recruiting, that we're going to start next year with around 146 cadets. And you know what? We can build on that in the future as the word gets out. We were fortunate enough in the beginning of the year, to have a few community events. We would have a lot more community events, but If it wasn't for COVID, and as soon as the restrictions get lifted, I'm looking very forward to getting these cadets out in the community where they can show off what they've learned. So we did a community event at the Black Latino Heritage Festival, Harvest Block Party, Hispanic Heritage Festival. And like I said, we're just now starting back up our after school activities, and I'm looking forward to getting our color guard out to the community for several different events. I will now turn it over to Chief Thrush, who's going to talk about our typical week and what we do with our cadets.
Thank you, sir. Just to expand upon what Lieutenant Colonel said, our color guard and our they average roughly 60 to 70 events that they go out to do per year, and that's a way for them to get out and get inside the community. As far as community service events, COVID has really cut us down on those, but the kids actually absolutely love getting out inside the community and actually working with people that they know. So we're excited because we're getting some invitations now. So we do about 60 of those a year as well. So we're very highly out in the community and stuff like that. To talk about teaching, it was difficult because we are a huge project-based learning type class, a lot of hands-on stuff. This summer, we sent our students to a leadership course for this year, unfortunately was virtually. After that, we sit down and talk about how are we going to do that this year? How can we teach drill? How can we teach the hands-on part of it? And what our students came up with is every single Monday, they actually have a drill video that they make. Each class makes their own videos per week, and they submit those to me. We put them in Google Classroom, and it's students showing each other how to do drill. And they go in breakout rooms, and we do it virtually. It's kind of difficult with the cameras, but they adjust their cameras, and we watch them do drill. On Tuesdays, they send pictures in of cadets that are in uniform, and they'll make mistakes. The students have to identify what those mistakes are and then come up with a plan on how to fix those. Wednesdays, the students, again, they create a physical fitness video that we post every Wednesday that have a keyword, and then the students will watch the video. After the video, they'll take a quiz and handle it that way. And then Thursdays and Fridays is the big day. That's where we get into our academic side of things we want to teach our students that will benefit them when they walk the stage and get into the real world, or that can affect them right now and help them be better students. That also, students will select a topic of their choice and then decide who in the class is going to do it and create a 5-minute PowerPoint and actually teach part of the class that day. Some of the topics we cover a bunch of stuff about leadership, fitness. We talk about history. We talk about how to think ethically, group dynamics, leading by example, communication, two-way exchange of information, financial wisdom. These are all topics we cover throughout the year. Our kids have been awesome. I mean, I can't thank them enough because when they're submitting stuff to me, I don't have too many corrections that I got to do. So it's been a great time. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chief Thrush and Lieutenant Colonel for sharing the story. It's good to know that your program is not only surviving in the pandemic, but it seems to be thriving. And I imagine those leadership skills, as well as that that sort of regular schedule and sense of discipline, are all the more needed in this time. And events are opening up again, and we'll hope to see you perhaps at our 4th of July celebration or Capona as we move forward. So that's a great story, and what an innovative way to keep things going, even in a virtual way. Thanks for sharing. So Ms. Cordero, let's go back to you to introduce our final group.
So I get the honor of introducing Mr. William Troutman, who is one of our music teachers here, and he is also our Cougar Marching Band director. He has created one of the most engaging, interactive Google Classrooms that he will take some time to share with you and talk about his soundtrack program that he's initiated with the kids. Mr. Troutman.
Okay, good afternoon, and I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to share what the students are doing in my class, because I think it's a little different And of course, I have some teachers to thank for that. I just want to acknowledge two teachers that I collaborate with a lot, and I share ideas and suggestions. And of course, that's Miss Turman and Mrs. Aslan. And together we all grow so we can make this beneficial for our students. And of course, as I'm trying to teach them about music, and it's my music theory class, I'm trying to make this an interactive experience for them. And as you can see, if you want to pull up my first slide, this is what my students see when they enter my classes. And of course, they have some time where they're completing a do now activity, and they're letting me know on my little scale how they're feeling today, so that we can start to learn. We have to first express ourselves so that we can get them to the point where they're ready to learn about music and apply what we're learning. And I have on there, of course, what we're going to do throughout the day. And then if you want to slide on to the next one, you'll see some examples of my students interacting on my Zoom screen. And I've had up to 15 students on the shared screen doing this annotation. And they're learning how to do this in this digital age where they're sitting, of course, on the other side of the screen. And so they've learned how to do that, and they're learning about music so that they can actually apply it to our sound trap then, which is the goal, so that they can show me that they're learning what I'm teaching them. And the next part you'll see there is rhythm. So they learn about rhythm and how many beats each of the notes are worth, because that's one of our fundamentals, along with our pitch. And so they can apply that into the sound trap. And you'll see there, this is a little grid where the students will actually jump on and they'll identify the notes. And I'll have like 3 or 4 kids, they'll just pop on and they'll just start shading in the grid exactly how they would do it if they were creating music with our sound trap. And on the next slide, you'll see where the students have created a beat, and this is where they're making up their drum beat for in the background. And you'll see my numbers are on there, just showing them where the beats are to review with them about the 16th notes and how many of them are included in a beat. And then I'll put in a simple little rhythm, and they're of course free to change that up and add to it, so they can add in their own little voice on it. And then on the next side, you'll see the piano roll, and this is kind of what they were doing back on my shared screen in the annotate earlier, where they were putting in the notes and shading in what they're worth. And this is an actual tune that they put into the system earlier in the year, and then they were choosing which of their instruments they wanted to use to add that personalization piece to it. So it's pretty cool. And then if you look at the last slide, this is where the students are actually arranging all the different pieces that they have created and making out their tune, which had to be over a minute long. And you can see the different instruments that were included there. And then it just kind of plays right across it like a timeline.
Oh my, Mr. Troutman, boy, would I like to be in your music class. That looks like so much fun. And incredibly interesting too, how you've integrated technology. That slide before the last one really did look like an old-fashioned player piano roll, yet somehow virtually appearing on screen. You know, at a time when it's difficult for performers to perform, it's good to know that music education and learning can still happen, and that's pretty incredible use of virtual technology. Can you speak a little bit more to how you're able to bring a whole group together at one time?
On the Zoom, is that what you mean? Like in my music theory class?
Yeah.
Yes. So what I do is I have several screens here. I have a multi-screen system, and we're on the Zoom. And then, like, when a student asks for help, either they can share it right out for the whole class to see. And if a student's not comfortable with that, then I have a second login, and I can share them and we can make a breakout room, and then they can share their screen with just me over here on my second login, which I call my twin. So it's a pretty cool little thing where, and I try to build this sense of community where the kids can rely on each other and they know that they can share their work and not be criticized for it, but they can also get help from the other students, and they're also helping the other students by sharing their screen and their question.
Wow, that's great. And sure.
That we are, of course, looking forward to that return of when we can get together with the band to get out to those events also.
Yeah, can't wait to see you there. And thanks for giving us a little glimpse into what's happening in terms of music composition and education in the Harrisburg School District. That's amazing. Wow, Momin, that's a lot of innovative and exciting projects happening. I imagine folks are watching or is probably as blown away by it as I've been. Do we have any feedback from the audience for any of our guests?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. No questions, but a lot of just positive comments and emojis in the Facebook Live comments. So thank you for everyone, putting that in there. From Justin, Mr. Thrush is a great teacher. Heard a lot of great things from his students. We see a go Dave from Brittany in here with the smiley face star eye emojis. We have a question here about where can people find this video afterwards. So it'll be on our Facebook page as well as youtube.com/WHBG20.
Great. Yes, and Mr. Troutman, I was trying to determine which emoji I was at the time you were giving the presentation. I'm not sure, but it was definitely one with a smiling face. So Superintendent Selmer, I'm going to let you sum it up if you'd like and have the final word. I'm impressed. This was a great showcase. Would you like to leave the viewers with any final thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, as we conclude, thank you again, Mayor, for allowing us to spend over an hour sharing the innovative things that have been happening in the Harrisburg School District. Throughout the Commonwealth and even the country, under a virtual education model, you hear a lot of times about school has not been in. Well, I think over the last hour, you've seen and our audience has seen that school has been in the Harrisburg School District, and our teachers, our staff have went above and beyond within 1 year to figure out how we continue to provide enriching, engaging academics for the students in the Harrisburg School District. And as you've seen, they have accomplished that. And I couldn't be prouder to be superintendent and to have the honor of working with all of these fine individuals. And I'm just, I'm kind of taken aback because a lot of times we don't get to really take the time and reflect and to see all the positives that are happening. And in the last hour, that's certainly been demonstrated. So I'm proud of our students and I'm absolutely proud of this team, who is a reflection of the entire staff and team in the Harrisburg School District. So again, thank you so much, Mayor, for having us. And thank you again to our team and our students for the phenomenal work that they're continuing to do in these challenging times.
Yep. Thanks as well to all the guests, all the teachers, and of course the students that are at the center of all this. It was a great show, and we'll be back next week and every week, Friday at noon, for our community conversations. I want to thank everybody for watching and joining with us this week. And until next week, I'm Mayor Eric Papenfuse saying stay safe, be well, and we will see you next time on Community Conversations right here on Facebook Live.